All
No,
right,
it's not.
let's get rolling. I don't know, who's your doctor?
Burl Gaddy.
Yeah, and they haven't told you yet whether they're gonna do the meniscus or not. They're gonna look at it.
Yeah, he can't tell from the MRI, so he has to wait till he cuts me up. I'll be either in for an hour and a half or 3.5 hours. So
Make sure they give you that ice machine when you go home.
yeah, well, we're already looking on Amazon to buy one, and we're checking to see if insurance covers it. But at least I get a good couple hours of sleep.
Where are you having it done?
Oh gosh, over at on 75th and I-35.
Okay, I had mine done at KU, and they gave me. I'm sure they put it on my bill, but they gave me that ice machine and sent me home with it.
Nice.
Well, I'm actually good friends with the doctor, so I'm going to reach out to talk to him about it, and get a much better feeling as we get to 9 days away from surgery.
All right, let's go ahead and get rolling. Let's be on the record. Case number 2020-CR155, captioned State of Kansas versus Brandon Heckert. Would the parties announce their appearances, please?
May it please the court, the state appears by Assistant District Attorney Claire Thibodeau.
And please the court, the defendant appears through counsel Joseph DeWaskin and in person, all via Zoom.
All right, we are here set down for a plea hearing today. I've received a copy of the plea petition that was signed by the defendant. Mr. Heckert, to take up your plea today, I'm going to have to ask you a bunch of questions. If I ask you something you don't understand, tell me that, and we'll talk about it till we're sure we're on the same page. Likewise, if you want to talk to Mr. DeWaskin before answering a question, I have the ability to send you guys to a private room so you can talk to him without the rest of us hearing you, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, to start this, I need to have you sworn in. So if you'd raise your right hand, my court reporter will swear you in.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Didn't hear anything, did we?
Did you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I heard you.
Okay, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
It's breaking in and out. I
know.
heard him start to answer yes, but then you answered yes, correct, Mr. Heckert?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I don't know what was happening there. It was breaking in and out. All right. So, Mr. Heckert, your plea petition tells me that you're 23 years of age and went through 9 years of school. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You read and write English okay?
Yes, sir.
Pardon?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So every now and then your mic is cutting out there. So if we ask you something a couple of times, we're not just trying to be difficult. We just need to make sure we get you all on record. Okay.
I ain't mad at you.
All right. As you sit here today, I know you're in custody, but are you under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or prescription medicine that might cloud your mind, keep you from understanding what you're doing?
No, sir.
All right. Feel like your mind's clear this morning?
Yes.
Do you know what you're charged with?
Theft, I believe, right? Level 9.
Correct. And you know that you don't have to change your plea from one of not guilty to guilty. If you wanted to maintain your not guilty plea, you would have an absolute right to a jury trial in this case. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. At that trial, the state would have to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You would not have to prove anything yourself. Mr. DeWaskin would help you throughout that trial. He would be able to confront and cross-examine all the state's witnesses, call any witnesses that you wanted called. You would have the right to take the stand and testify, but you'd also have the right not to testify. And if you decided not to testify, the state couldn't use that against you. In other words, Ms. Thibodeau here couldn't get up and argue, well, ladies and gentlemen, you should convict him because he didn't tell you his side. You understand all those rights?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Now, if we had that trial and at the end of it you were convicted, you would have the right to appeal that conviction to the Kansas appellate courts. If you didn't have the money to do that, a lawyer would be appointed to do it for you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. Now, if we go forward with this plea today, you're going to be giving up all those rights. There's not going to be a trial of any kind. You know that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Dewaskin tells me that he believes that you are going to score a criminal history C. You understand that whatever prediction that Mr. Dewaskin made would be based on that. When we're done here, I'm going to order a pre-sentence investigation. It's going to take a deep look into your criminal history. And both parties will have a chance to comment on it, see if it's accurate. But if you are higher than a criminal history C, you might be looking at a more severe sentence than you would be expecting under Mr. Dewaskin's counsel. Do you understand that?
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to share now the plea petition that was shared with me, and I'm going to ask you if you can see this. Can you see that document?
Yes, sir.
Does that look like the plea petition that you and Mr. Dewaskin went over?
Yes, it does.
Does that look like the document that you went over with Mr. Dewaskin?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature there above your typed name?
Yes, sir.
Now, here's what they tell me the plea is. They say that you're going to be pleading guilty today to the first count, which is theft, a severity level 9 non-person felony, and that they believe that you will be a criminal history C. The parties are going to agree to recommend the standard sentence that would appear under severity level 9 criminal history C box, and that you would receive credit for your time served. The state is not going to oppose your request for probation, even if your criminal history comes back higher, leaving you without the presumption of probation. You will pay restitution to the victim upon submission of proof of damages. And you understand that the state's agreement is contingent on you appearing at your sentencing hearing and not committing any crimes between now and sentencing. Is that your understanding of the entire plea agreement, Mr. Heckert?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Has
Judge,
anybody? Yes.
just one thing to add. I'm sorry, I did not notice this when I was reviewing it. The state will also be requesting no contact with the victim, who is his brother.
Okay. All right. Is that at the brother's request, I assume?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So in addition to that, the state will be asking that I enter a no contact order between you and your brother. With that addition, is that your understanding of the entire plea agreement?
Yes, sir.
Has anybody promised you anything else to get you to plead guilty today?
No, sir.
Anybody placed force or threats against you to make you plead guilty today?
No, sir.
Now, there are recommendations as to what sentence you should receive and whether or not you would receive probation. You understand that I am going to listen very closely to all of those recommendations, but I'm not party to or bound by the agreement, and I can give you any sentence that the law allows me to give you. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I already talked about the PSI being ordered and your criminal history being determined. What I have to do today, since I don't have that document yet, is just assume for today's purposes that you have the very worst possible criminal history so that I can tell you the maximum that anyone can get for this crime. And that would be 17 months in prison, a post-release of 12 months with a maximum fine of $100,000. Do you understand those are the maximum penalties for this crime?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Heckert, do you have any questions for me or Mr. Dewaskin about anything that you and I went over today?
Okay, so when they do the probation or whatnot, whatever you guys plan on doing, how long would it be for y'all to get the restitution on the what they need me paid?
Well, the state will need to provide by sentencing a dollar amount of what the restitution is. Your lawyer will get a chance to take a look at it, make sure that he and you think that that is an accurate representation of the loss. And then the presumption in this case, if you're granted probation, is that you would be on probation for a period of 12 months. You would be given that period of time to make regular payments towards your restitution and costs to get them paid off before that 12 months is up. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Does it answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Do we have a ballpark idea of what the request for restitution is going to be?
Your Honor, I've spoken with the victim and he was so he got the motorcycle back, but it was damaged. So he was going to take it in to get an estimate on how to fix the damage. And I have explained it to him that if he doesn't get that information to me, I can't ask for it.
Right.
So I'm sorry, I don't have a number for the court at this time.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Dawson, you know any legal reason why your client should not plead in this case?
No, Your Honor, but it just occurred to me that we never waived our preliminary hearing.
Okay, let's do that. Thank you. Mr. Heckert, beyond your rights to the jury trial that I went over, you also have a right to what's called a preliminary hearing. That would be a hearing before a judge prior to trial in which the state would have to put on enough evidence to prove that there was reason to go forward with a trial. Obviously, if this case has been resolved by a plea, that wouldn't be necessary, but you do have that right. Your lawyer has indicated to me that you're willing to waive or give up that right to go forward with that plea today. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Thibodeau, on behalf of the state, you also waived preliminary hearing.
Yes, Your Honor.
I will show that both parties have waived preliminary hearing, buying the defendant over for trial, and then formally ask him, as to count one, Mr. Heckert, of the original information which charges you with theft, a severity level 9 non-person felony, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, sir.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the state to tell me what they think the evidence would be if this case went to trial. I want you to listen closely because when they're done, I'm going to ask you if that's what happened, okay?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Thibodeau.
On February 4th of 2020, officers responded to 7711 Kansas Avenue, Kansas City, Wyandotte County, Kansas. When they got there, they met with the victim, Brian Heckert, who told them that his brother, the defendant, Brandon Heckert, took Brian's 2011 Kawasaki motorcycle from him, and that Brandon did not have permission to take that motorcycle, and that he drove off on the motorcycle.
All
The
right.
Kelly Blue Book value of the Kawasaki motorcycle is $3,800.
Thank you. Mr. Heckert, is that what happened?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I will find the defendant has freely, voluntarily, and intelligently entered into this plea agreement. He understands the nature of the charges and the consequences of the plea. The state has provided a sufficient factual basis for a finding of guilt, and the defendant has acknowledged that factual basis. Therefore, I will find he is in fact guilty of count one, theft, a severity level 9 non-person felony. Pursuant to the plea agreement, all other charges are dismissed. I'm going to order a pre-sentence investigation be conducted, and we will continue the sentencing pending that. I let you know that I've asked my assistant for a date, and hopefully she'll be able to get back to us before we break here. I do have to advise you, Mr. Heckert, as a convicted felon, it's prohibited for you to own or possess a firearm and certain kind of deadly cutting instruments like dirks, daggers, switchblades, basically knives that could be considered deadly weapons. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Thibodeau, do you have any objection to an OR bond pending sentencing?
Your Honor, my only request would be that he not have any contact with his brother, and that if he fails to appear or commits a new crime, I'm not bound by my plea agreement.
Right. Mr. Dwoskin, will you be back on your feet, no pun intended, by June 11th at 10 a.m.?
Judge, I'm going to guess that I'll be available based upon the preliminary information provided to me by my doctor. If not, I'll be able to work from home as I'm doing today.
All right. Mr. Heckert, I'm going to get you out of there today. Will you have the ability to if I set this sentencing by Zoom like we're doing today, when you get out, will you have like internet access and a device that you can join us?
Yes, sir. I'll talk to my lawyer about that. I plan on getting me a phone as soon as I get out.
Okay, all right. Now it's very important. Look, we're going to work with you on making sure that you can have a device and all that. Mr. DeWaskin's very diligent about making that, but you need to appear at your sentencing. You need to make sure you don't get in any more trouble between now and sentencing. And finally, you're not allowed to have any contact with your brother, okay?
All right.
So make sure those things don't happen so you can get the sentence that you want. Mr. DeWaskin, I didn't look. Was there a PSI request connected to the?
No, Judge. No, Judge.
All right. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set sentencing for June 11th at 10 a.m. by Zoom. I will send out that invitation. Do you want me to, what I can do? Well, anything else we need for our record today?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
We're adjourned. Okay, Joe, here's what I can do. If you want me to, I can leave the meeting, make you the administrator. Everybody else will leave. You can get that information from your client and send it over to probation.
Okay, that would work, Judge.
Do you have a blank PSI with you or
Yes,
PSI request?
That's what I'm checking right now, Judge. 1 second, please.
I've got one on my computer. I can email it to you if you don't.
Let's see. I have. I'll just have to save it as I have it as a PDF. I just have to save it as a Word document. That should be okay.
Okay, let me know if not. I can get you one.
All right.
Otherwise, I'm just going to